Can mute, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'll begin. Welcome and hello to this relaunch of the Depth of Mischief. And as you can see here, the launch pad, which represents the relaunch of the Depth of Mischief book. So here is the book itself, and I'm going to introduce, first starting with the credentials. Some things I achieved since 2020 when Exposure Book Launch emerged are several writing accolades. It has been a writing journey. In a writing group, we self-published the Lead and Friends writing book. The ebook was published on Amazon, and the physical book will be ready soon. I also have a free weekly inspirational Friday podcast called Hints for Writing Your Novel, and it's on Facebook and LinkedIn. But first of all, I wanted to give you a little bit of history about my writing. My first book is Going Places, and it's a children's book. It is a book for children 2+, and it is for any occasion. It is a fantastic story set in watercolor background about a group of friends on a day out with their parents. They are happy and are using different forms of transport to go from place to place, and they're thrilled to understand how different transport work. So this is basically what Going Places book is all about for children. There is also a little video that accompany Going Places book, so it really brings some life to children when they listen to the video. Okay, so we got here another side of the book. This color is just a little snapshot of what Going Places book is. All right, so the airport bus, that one is about the airport bus. And I think one of the good things about Going Places, and especially children's book, is how it gives that extra energy to children when they can read a book, when they can get excited about it, when it fills any time of the day or night for children. That's one of the main things that get children excited all the time. And that's something I try to encourage. And I so much like to get that energy over to children in the book. So that is a little snapshot of Going Places books for now. And here you will see I have a page, one of the pages in Going Places book. So the plane goes faster, faster than the train, faster than my kite, faster than the bus, faster than the car, faster than my bicycle. So that's just one page of Going Places book. I'm going to move on to the next page, another content page. The clouds make the plane fly. The plane turns in the wind. My kite moves in the wind. That's another young person. That's how the content is trying to translate what happens outdoor for children. Lots of air makes the aeroplane fly. The plane is faster than a train. That's a positive observation. Children like to observe when they're outdoors, observe the sceneries, and I try to capture that in Going Places. And the reason why I started with Going Places is because it is a beginning of writing, and when something is new, then I think it's so important to bring that forward so that you can see. Okay, so moving along, I have an Inspirational Friday podcasts, Hints for Writing Your Novel. That's a free weekly podcast that I do. And it really enlightens. It's for beginner writers and writers. They can have hints of how you want to use your language of writing, being creative, doing something substantial with it. So hence this free podcast that is on social media, on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and it's there on a Friday. Okay, so I'm going to move on gently. Right, so poetry is not dead. And it's positive to know the reasons why. I am going to start off to enlighten you with poetry. Some of my poetry from my found writing poetry called Shanty. So I'm going to read a few of the poems. We are still in the relaunch of the Depth of Mischief book. So the first poem I want to read is Cast Down, Up Once More. Stories own your interests to stories, occasions, special and seasonal. In Valentine's, Christmas, anthropologies, you may be but one's obvious of the usual. Moving something, choosing forward or backward. Go clocks, day. Queens about, what, Wednesday? Or unusual, more a choosing? Setting about thing, one occasional? Special with coincide story. Your emotions or theme, Halloween, we have as, and give your time. Okay, that's one shunting point that I have. And I'm going to read another shunting poem, which will be coming up soon. Okay, and this is called Ringing Right Angles. They asked how winter portrayed winter, progressing, stopping. They asked, think winter, setting right characters, the calf, the lounge, from where bridge chase cars, and stretch B-point solution, and order in, angles out, troublesome posing, interviewed often, barriers unlocked, scenes, such questions. Moving scenes need something before character. Get the closing and backward scenes. So that's some of my shunting poems that I have got. And also, may I remind you, if you have questions, please use your chats. You can send testimonials, you can send comments, and they will be picked up as we carry on through the webinar. Okay, so moving on. Right, moving on, we spoke a little about the things that we do. And from our writing group, we are fortunate to have this logo here. And this logo was built or recommended by someone in the writing group. And it has moved on to being the cover of our writing group's book, which is published. The ebook is now published on Amazon, so you can get the ebook. So here we are. So Velita and Friends Writing, but you'll find that on Amazon it's called Velita Hayes and Friends Creative Writing Book Scene 1. Okay, so we all know a little bit about that because we are in the writing group. I may come back to this one later. Here I've got basically this is a photo, I should say, which is really popular on social media. And within that photo, as you can see, it says, let's start a reading revolution. So it's calling on us to read. And that's an emblem which I desire to use in my reading and also in reading and writing other novels. Right, so I'm going to move on. I may also come back to this social media post. Okay, so steaming away. Here I've got the Depth of Mischief book. And from the Depth of Mischief book, I will be reading something from the book, a chapter. I think I'll start at chapter 5, which is one of several chapters. Okay. In summer 1989, when Iba had the chance to progress to Nile Valley University, Blessing couldn't pay the fee for her course. So she did the same as others on Stale Orange Road and hired out 2 of her cows to a cattle farmer during the mating seasons. But it wasn't without its teething problems. A virus had suddenly broken out on the farm where the 2 cows were. Blessing, being the efficient person she was, reversed the downtowns and walked 4 kilometers to Fred's farm, where he ran a sanctuary for cattle exposed to the virus. Moving the cows to the new farm paid off well for Blessing, because within weeks of arriving there, each cow gave birth to 2 healthy calves. Iba was overjoyed when her mother told her the news. She couldn't hide her delight that Blessing could visit the cows at the farm, and for Blessing to fill her in with news about the American hair salon. The American hair salon, is it? Asked Iba. How you knew? Replied Blessing. What about it? Iba asked. It's for sale. Meaning? Asked Iba. Is the university a choice? Iba felt irritated when her conversation with her mother did not gain much ground, and told Blessing that she would be walking to Father Paul's to seek his guidance. The skies were deadened blackness, and the high moon was singing melodiously to the stars at 9 o'clock that Wednesday night. Iba sheltered under its canvas while the night breeze held her spellbound. She searched for the Paul within the midst of it all, but she couldn't find him anywhere. He was meant to be tidying up after the last baby and its mother left late in the evening. She had to walk past the dark barn filled with haze. The depressed building was accustomed to hostile weathers, and now the wind had swallowed up the run-down, heavy-hearted, oppressed barn. The creche was next door to it, but not Father Paul. Ibo peeped inside, and its windows there was a shadow was nowhere to be seen. The bright lights were delusive, and the rooms she saw through the windows were hollow and bare without any sign of life. She went around the building several times to rid her of her tormented mind and replace it with Father Paul's, but all the doors were shut. Father Paul, are you there? She knocked on the window several times with her knuckles. Father Paul, you there? It's me, Ibo. I must speak to you, if only for a short time. Are you there? But he was not at the creche, so Ibo decided to go back home and face the torments from Blessing another night. Blessing was prone to go to bed at 9, but she didn't, fearing she would not get to speak to Ibo until the morning. So what is it about Father Paul? Is he more promising than your great-great-grandfather Doris, Mother Doris? Isn't she better than he is? Was that a question? Ibo asked. Might if you guessed, replied Blessing. The Numbians, for crying out loud. The tensions in Blessing's voice growled at Ibo and frightened her. Tell me how to help, won't you, Ibo? But first you must listen. Didn't you know the Numbians fought recklessly for our lands, dignities, natural minerals, ivories, gold, and precious stones? Whatever, replied Ibo angrily. Enough, Blessing said. Twy arrived in time to hear his friend arguing with her mother. Keep out of this, you, Ibo demanded. Okay, but this might surprise you. Nothing surprised of late, replied Ibo. It's the American salon. It's for sale, and I might be leaving Gutters Creek sooner than later, he continued. To where? Inquired Blessing. Scotland, of course, Twy replied. Is it Father Paul or Mahmoud getting you your visa? Ibo asked. Mahmoud? Yes, him, replied Ibo. Mahmoud is more a camel person, Twy said. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Right, so that's just a small portion of the depth of mischief book, which I can always come back to later. I can see something in the chat which I'll have a look at. Okay, right, so Menzi asked, how long does it take to write a chapter? That was question one. A chapter can flow any time. That it could be, I would say, perhaps a chapter could be perhaps a day, could be half a day, depending on how busy you are. Yeah, I wouldn't go beyond a day for a chapter. How do you plan a chapter? All right, planning a chapter is quite tricky, because whilst you're writing, you'll need to, it's so important to jot down little things that come to your thoughts about your characters within that chapter, how you want to use them, what they want to say to you. Are they lovely people? Are they likable? Are they awful? Some people say the more awful a character is the more engaging your book is to other people. So if you have somebody who is very truant, you know what, people may like to read that book. So yes, so planning your chapter is engaging, bringing out little things as they come to you. Do you use other books, pictures for ideas? I think it's important to use books and pictures for ideas as you write your own book. Very, very important. But I can always come back to that again later. I can always come back, and you can always add on to this. I'll come back to that later. Thanks, Menzi. All right, so I'll move on. Sorry. Right. Here, this is also another of my social media photos that do engage as well with the audience. People like photos or pictures like these. I don't know why that comes up on my screen. All right, so we're past that. Right, okay, so stubborn on vision, flexible on details. Yes, so I thought that within this current year, the beginning of the year, to do something much more practical, you know, where people can see, visualize, get some ideas, and make their writing a lot more flexible than it would otherwise have been. Engaging as well. So that's something to look at. Okay, I know you might have other questions, but during the, I would say, the creating or the writing, the editing stages of the book, or the finished product, I would say, the editors requested that I was to give them some questions. I was to write some questions. And it could be the other way around, actually. They wrote the questions and I was to answer the questions that they wrote about why I decided to write The Depth of Mischief and what were important in the Depth of Mischief book. And so I managed to create a few, put together a few of the questions that and answers that were written. And okay, Rashida. So some of the questions that were put to me and which I answered were, do you think that the title of the book gives you an expectation of what the book desires? So I said, yes, I do. The Depth of Mischief reveals the strength of the characters. They take pride in themselves to be who they are. I believe that the characters have something special and they have strong attributes that help to overcome setbacks and limitations. Hi, Rashida. And the next question is, question 2, which characters most resemble you in real life? So I say, I would think that I fall between Twy and Ibo. For one, their names have some significant meanings, which I like. They are young and they have everything going for them. Twy and Ibo want to take stock of their lives and respond to setbacks the best way they can. However, they are timid and they hate to be losers, so they will go beyond the ordinary to make the right wrongs. Make the right right and diffuse the wrongs. Number 3, the question was, what inspires you as a writer? And I say, I love to read books. There are several books, and in every book for me, I learn something from it. I can laugh and smile about the lighter side of life. It is a tremendous boost to read, and I can say the same about The Depth of Mischief. Question 4, how did you choose your characters? I said I thought for a long time about how I wanted the characters to be. I observed a lot of people and places. It's a good way to build a story. I wanted the characters to be the first of a kind. And number 5 question that was asked, when did you get the feeling that the story was coming together? And I said, getting over the 3 initial characters was a great feeling. And also their impact into the chapters were marvelous at the same time. I said I was more at ease with myself from then on. There were noticeable differences in their personalities. It all added value to the story. And number 6, the question was, are you expecting the characters to live on in your future writing? I said, I hope so. It's a possibility that the world will orbit around their lives. And since traveling is what they love to do, we might see them differently, but it is hard to tell at this stage. And I have one more, which I'm going to look at. Number 7, how could your book influence changes in people and society? I said that migration happens every day, and wherever a person goes, whether it is Sudan or Scotland, they'll have an experience to tell people. It's not a bad idea to venture into the unknown. Okay, I think number 8 goes on, so I'm going to go into number 8. How were you able to balance the fact with fiction in the book? And I said, it was not easy to do. However, I believe that fact has some bearing on fictional outcomes, and it is important to show that even the wider sides of life, there are some real meanings to it. Wikipedia and Google are always very helpful. So those are some of the questions that I was asked by the publisher of my book when I wrote it. That's The Depth of Mischief book. And interesting enough, it hasn't let me down since. These questions have stayed with me, and the answers that I gave were such that, you know, they had an impact on my life and I think the life of others, people who have read the book. And they would find that the traversal of life from one country to the next has a great impact and changes views and attitudes and social building and esteem, which makes it so important to me move into a new light, and seeing society and world differently. So that is really very, very important too as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Oh, we've just seen the interview. So yeah, so we've done the interview, which were part of the publishing. Okay, so within this, there is another poem which I would like to read. I've got several poems, not just one, several poems which I have, and I'd like to read one currently. Okay, so this one is called Beat, Beat Drum, Play Violin. Silent, limp, squeeze, run, run, fountain dashed, chest caved, shoulders popped, twitch. Silent shoulders, move fingers, head still, eyes blare still, rumble stomach, fight, looks at legs, run, heat, pull, slap, muscle weighing down, lead, lead, burping, screaming, roll, roll stomach, kidneys dark with fright, push, push, play stomach. The violin plays, the harp trickles its chord. Run, run stomach, still neck, still violin. Play sharp chords in my chest. Stay still, my nostril. Sing, run, run, harp chords. Sing tunes, violin likes, lips still, silent voice, black, brown, eyes the drum of breath. Beat, beat, timely beat violin, sharp, silent drum, run, run, stomach lay still, eyes drained, pulp, blink, pulp, flash, pulp, eyes, blink still, beat heart, play violin heart. Put a little into it. Okay, so that's one poem. And I'm going to move on to the next poem that I've read and that I've written, actually. And this one, I'm going to go straight into it. It says, I'm not myself anymore. Care not, I'm not myself. Pity I felt. Stretch my feet, my arms long. Upon I pondered, till in I come. Oh, I was where I had felt it. Today is a day long gone into a heart, it stands. Shall I say with it, staying close, it means everything. Sunken, I stayed laid. Stay, I hate the pale play. Frail when I stand. Stayed, I pity myself. I see the skies staring, starking me. I bundled into the cloud. Okay, so that one finished sooner than I thought. I really thought there was more to this. So that is one poem, which obviously, you know, I wrote this poem back in obviously 2020, during that time, and it has really resonated very well with me. And the other thing about poem for me and the Depth of Mischief book, which this relaunch is all about, is it's really taking a pride in identity of who the person is, who I am, who the message is going out to. It doesn't matter who you are. The message is really powerful, and it spreads its wings to everyone who experience whatever situations that are going around. And expressing that. Some people express it in poetry, some express it in songs, some express it in books and plays and all manner of things. So that is awesome when you can do that. I'm going to check the chats to see whether there are any more chats. I can't seem to see any just now, but I'll come on to that. So, right, I don't know whether anyone has anything else to say, but what I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to bring up another slide. Okay, so this slide is a slide of myself, which I ask that you please write your comments and leave your testimonials in the chat, and they will be put up on the website. So if you could kindly do this, that would be good. And once I come off the slides, we'll have a chance to interact a little bit more. Okay, so let me move on to the next slide. Obviously, that's not the one. So excuse me. Okay, so it's not quite final goodbye as yet. But what we have got here is I've got the email addresses and contact details. So there is Exposure Book Launch, the website, and there's my email address. You can take it down. There is my Instagram and also Facebook. Right, so I think, yeah, so the LinkedIn, right, so we've got the LinkedIn here, and I've also got here the Lita Hales and Strengths Creative Writing book, which is the ebook, which is the self-published book that we as a writing group have published. And this is in case you have not yet seen it on Amazon, the ebook is on Amazon, and the paper copy book will soon be on Amazon too. And it's the same version as the ebook. So we're working our way towards that. So it's not quite fine. It's not final, thank you, but I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, so right, so I do not know how many things are in the chats, but if you okay, so Stephen wrote, okay, I read Depth of the Mischief during 2020, I think now, and reread it a few months later. I did put a review. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for sharing and doing that. That's really awesome. Thank you so much.